Hello students, our topic of discussion is microelectronics technology which comes in your fourth semester. This is a very important topic in electronics. In this lecture, I will give you an introduction to microelectronics technology and at the same time a basic idea about the fabrication of devices in integrated circuit form. These are the topics I will discuss in this lecture, starting with a brief introduction to microelectronics technology, followed by the advantages and disadvantages of IC over discrete components. Then I will tell you what are the different types of ICs commercially available to us, then about the features of monolithic and hybrid type of ICs, and then I will tell you about the basic steps for monolithic IC fabrication, specifically by planar technique, and finally ending up with the first step of substrate preparation of IC fabrication process. Microelectronics. We can define microelectronics as the area of technology associated with the fabrication. Fabrication means to make of, that is the fabrication of very small electronic systems. Keep in mind, very small, that is miniaturized form. Systems made up of extremely small electronic elements. And those elements, that is elements are what? That is a system, a circuit is an electronic circuit is actually consisted of number of components or elements. That is, those elements in microelectronics are of very small dimension. How small it is? It is approximately in micrometer dimension. Nowadays, as I hope you have heard about nanotechnology, where the dimension is much reduced than this also. Now, this term microelectronics is generally associated with integrated circuit. Now, what are the different circuits that we can make? That is, what are those microelectronic circuits? Microelectronic circuits include active components like PN junction diodes and different other types of diodes also, transistors, and different passive components like resistors, capacitors, etc. Integrated circuits, as the name suggests, it is the circuit in the integrated form. Now, why I have written this? Integrated form. The first, that the word integration is basically related to mathematics. In mathematics, when we did integration, we actually wanted to see a very wide, large change in a very compact manner. In this case also, for integrated circuit, we want to make a very complicated or a complex circuit in a miniaturized, that is in a mini format, small form, in a small dimension, or we can say extremely small dimensions. Integrated circuit was first introduced in the year 1958. It was the most significant technological development or advancement of the 20th century, which has radically changed or altered the world of electronics. Though it was first applied for computers. Third generation computers used digital ICs. As you know, ICs can be, I will tell you after some time in the upcoming slides, that ICs can be classified into different types, depending on different parameters. However, when we are talking about third generation computers, and due to the application of IC, where the vacuum tubes, as you know, initially previously, long back, vacuum tubes were used to design a computer. And due to the use of vacuum tubes, the overall computer size was very big, very bulky. And however, after the usage of IC, the, the computer size has decreased largely. At the same time, as the size has decreased, it has also decreased the power consumption of the device or the overall circuit, increasing computer reliability and also increases the speed of operation. All these parameters are very important when we want to implement any circuit in electronics. Apart from this, we should also be careful about the product dimension and the cost of production. So, by using IC in place of vacuum tubes or in other applications too, dimension of the circuit has also reduced as IC itself is very small in size. So whenever you are using an IC in any circuit in place of a very complex circuit, you are actually replacing a very complex big circuit by a simple small IC. So when you are replacing a very big circuit by a small IC, you are actually reducing the size of the circuit. So it reduced the product dimension. Dimension means size and the cost. Cost, that is the production cost. Now, where we can use ICs? You should know we are using ICs nowadays in our day-to-day lives, everywhere, in every electronic gadgets. Specifically, when you are to write down in your exam, you can write down. We use ICs in communication systems like mobile phones and military applications like radars, okay, and various industrial applications. Industrial applications are numerous. You can study through internet. There are various applications of ICs. In microelectronics, it is very needful to know about Moore's law. Jordan E. Moore was the Intel co-founder. In 1965, he published a research paper on the future projection of IC technology. Moore's law refers to Moore's perception that is his view that the number of transistors, or we can say transistor count on a microchip doubles every 2 years, though the cost of computers is halved. That is, if more number of transistors, more number of devices can be accommodated on a single chip, obviously this will reduce the computer price. The law states that we can expect the speed and capability of our computers to increase every couple of years as the law suggests, and we will pay less for them. As we all know that if we can accommodate more number of devices on a single chip, that will obviously reduce the cost of production. The figure shows the graphical plot for Moore's law. On the x-axis, the year starting from 1970 up to 2000 is shown, and on the y-axis, the transistor count or the number of transistors on a single chip has been plotted. What we observe from this graphical plot is that chronologically, that is with time, with the advancement in technology, the number of transistors accommodated on a single chip or die has increased drastically. In 1970, we started with processor 4004, then 8008, Then finally in the year 2000 we got Pentium 4 processor, and now in the year 2020 we are far ahead of this. Now, in the study of IC technology, it is very important to know the advantages of using ICs over discrete electronic components, and at the same time about the limitations or drawbacks of ICs over the discrete components. Here in this slide you can see that the first point is that the IC is much smaller in size than discrete components. As in ICs, we are fabricating ICs consisted of, that is, the integrated circuits are consisted of various types of electronic components on a single chip of semiconductor. Now, as because of the small in size, that is, it is less bulky, it is not bulky at all, it is much lighter in weight. The third point is that it is of low cost, it is very much cost effective than discrete components, because we can produce hundreds and thousands of similar ICs at the same time, that is simultaneously. Then the next point is ICs are more reliable in operation than that is, we can say it is less prone to erroneous results. It is because of elimination of soldered joints, that is, no internal soldering, no complicated internal soldering is done, and use of very few interconnections, that is, interconnection wirings are very few in number. Then the next important advantage of IC over discrete component is its less power consumption. As for electronic circuits, we are very much concerned about the power consumption of the circuits. So, as an engineer, we always look for the devices or circuits with less power consumption. So, ICs consume less power than discrete components, specifically because of its smaller in size. That is, as it is small in size, so far it consumes less power. The next advantage is that ICs can be replaced very easily, and it is more economical to replace an IC than to repair it. That is, whenever we are doing any experiment with ICs in our labs, if an IC is damaged, it is better to replace it than to repair it. The next advantage of using integrated circuit over discrete components is its increased operating speed. That is, an IC can perform at a much higher speed than discrete components. It is because of absence of parasitic capacitance effects, and the cause behind it is that inside an IC fewer interconnections are made. Next point is that close matching of components and temperature coefficients can be obtained in the IC form. Why? It is because of the bulk or mass production of ICs, that is, batch production of IC is possible. That is, we can produce ICs in batches. Identical ICs can be obtained at the same time in the same batch. So, for close matching of component characteristics is possible. Next point, ICs are able to operate at comparatively higher temperatures than discrete components. Then another point is that it is very interesting point that the ICs are suitable for small signal operations. It is because of no chance of stray electrical pickup, As various components of an IC are located very close to each other on a single wafer. As the chip itself is very small in size. So far, the distance between the components inside the IC is very small. That is, the interconnection length between the components is very small. So far, there is no chance of stray electrical pickup or noise pickup. So far, it is possible to use ICs for small signal operation. Now we must know about the disadvantages or limitations of integrated circuits over discrete components. The first point can be limited power rating of ICs, as it is not possible to manufacture high power ICs, because it is generally not possible to fabricate ICs with high power, which can consume high power, or which can operate at high power. That is, the power rating is comparatively smaller than discrete components. The second point, need of connecting inductors and transformers externally. That is, we cannot make inductors or transformers in IC form. So, these are to be connected externally to the IC. The third point is that operation at low voltage, as ICs function at fairly low voltage, is not so much good. The fourth point, it is quite delicate to handle an IC, because as you have seen, for example, for dual inline packages, the pins coming out of the IC is very delicate to be handled. So it is comparatively delicate to be handled, as these cannot withstand rough handling or excessive heat. Another point is that there is a need of connecting capacitor exterior to the semiconductor chip, as it is neither convenient nor economical to fabricate capacitances exceeding 30 picofarad. This point is very important, because as we have seen that we can fabricate capacitor in IC form, but if we are to fabricate capacitors of value greater than 30 picofarad, then it is not possible to fabricate the capacitor in IC form. In that case, we have to connect the capacitor of value greater than 30 picofarad externally to the chip. Therefore, for higher values of capacitance, discrete components exterior to IC chips are required. Some more disadvantages or limitations are high-grade PNP transistors are not possible to make in IC form. The second point is that low temperature coefficient is difficult to be achieved. Large value of saturation resistance of transistors. Voltage dependence of resistors and capacitance are found to be very much critical. That is, in some cases, in IC form, the resistor values and the capacitor values actually are found to vary depending on the voltage, and making the operation to some extent unreliable. Then the next point is that the diffusion processes and the other related procedures used in IC fabrication are not good enough to permit a precise control of the parameter values of the circuit elements. However, control of the ratios is at a sufficiently acceptable level. So, actually, the steps we use to fabricate ICs are very much sophisticated and critical. So, in some cases, precise control of the parameters is not possible. So, all these are the limitations that we have to keep in mind while we are using IC. This is the classification, that is the different types of ICs commercially available to us. Integrated circuits can be widely classified into two types. One is monolithic ICs and the other type is hybrid ICs. Monolithic type is further classified as bipolar and unipolar types depending on the type of active devices used in it. That is, if the bipolar junction transistor, that is BJT, is used in this type of IC, then the particular type of IC will be bipolar IC, and if field effect transistors FET are used, then it will be unipolar type of IC. Bipolar type of IC, as you know, as you can see here, is further classified into PN junction isolation and dielectric isolation types, that is depending on the isolation technique used. While studying the IC fabrication technique, you will be able to know what is this isolation mean. Further, you can see unipolar ICs can be classified as MOSFET IC and JFET IC. That is, depending on the type of FET, that is which type of FET we are using, we can classify unipolar ICs into two types. As I have already told you about the classifications of IC, in this slide you can see this will describe the monolithic ICs. First of all, we have to know why it is so called. A monolithic IC is one in which all circuit components and all interconnections, that is the interconnections between each circuit component, between the circuit components, are made on a single wafer, that is on a single substrate. Substrate means the starting material on which we will fabricate the IC. The word monolithic is derived from the Greek word monos, meaning single or one, and lithos, another Greek word meaning stone. This implies that the entire circuit is fabricated on a single chip of a semiconductor. In monolithic IC, that is in this particular process, to fabricate monolithic ICs, the electronic components like transistors, diodes, resistors, capacitors are made simultaneously by the diffusion process, and afterwards the process of metallization, that is to establish the metal contacts, is used to make the interconnections between the components. While studying the IC fabrication process in details, you will be able to understand what does this diffusion process actually mean. In monolithic ICs, the dielectric or PN junction is used to provide the electrical isolation between the two conducting regions. Electrical isolation means when we want to isolate two different conducting regions so that they may not be shorted together. Secondly, in monolithic IC, as it is possible to produce ICs in batch production, that is mass production is possible, thus reducing the cost of production. That is, when we can produce a number of ICs at the same time in a batch, then this will reduce the cost of production of the ICs. At the same time, the process of monolithic IC fabrication is also reliable to produce identical ICs. Hybrid ICs. This is another type of commercially available ICs. As I've already told you in the classification slide, as the name hybrid suggests, that this type of IC is fabricated by interconnecting or joining a number of individual ICs of monolithic type together. The active components are diffused transistors or diodes, whereas the passive components are diffused resistors or capacitors on a single chip, or they may be in the thin film component form. Hybrid ICs are specifically widely used for high power applications like in high power amplifiers, whereas where the power range is in the span of 5 watt to 50 watt. Hybrid ICs usually have better performance than monolithic ones. However, the process of hybrid IC fabrication or the mass production of hybrid IC is very much expensive, but it is still considered economical for small quantity production. ICs are commercially available in different packages. Here you can see in this figure, it is showing the monolithic IC in can type enclosure. That is, the silicon chip is enclosed and packed in a can type package, and the interconnecting wires where the terminal pins are connected, you can see the interconnecting wirings, and an insulating case is used to cover the IC to protect the IC from the external atmosphere. This is the monolithic IC plastic package. You can see the silicon chip inside and the external terminal pins. It is a DIP package, dual inline package. That is, you can see same number of pins on the both side of the IC, and interconnecting or the connecting wirings are shown. That is the metal contacts which are connecting the chip with the terminal pins. The chip is packed inside a plastic package to protect it from the external atmosphere. As I already told you in a slide before, that ICs can be widely classified into two types. However, in this slide you can see classification of ICs depending on different parameters. For example, based on application, that is, where do we want to apply these ICs? Depending on applications or based on application type, ICs can be classified into two types. One is the linear IC and the second one is the digital IC. Based on the fabrication technique, the second one you can see, based on the fabrication technique, ICs can be again classified into two types, as I already mentioned in the slide before, that depending on the fabrication technique, it can be two types, that is monolithic and hybrid. When the IC is fabricated on a single wafer or single chip, it is called monolithic, but when more than one monolithic ICs are connected together, they actually form hybrid IC. Now, based on technology, that is what type of active devices we are using, we can further classify ICs widely into two types: BJT type of ICs, and the second one is the MOSFET type of ICs. However, further classifications in this depending on this parameter, that is depending on the technology, is also available. Now you can see the last one, that is based on the device count, that is the number of transistors on a single chip. As I already mentioned in the Moore's law, here also based on the device count on a single chip, ICs can be classified into 5 different types. First one is the SSI, small scale integration. Second one is the medium scale integration. Third one is a large scale integration, and the fourth one is the very large scale integration, and the lastly it is the ultra large scale integration. In this slide you can see the types of IC. As I already told you, depending on the transistor count or device count, we can classify ICs into different types. Here it is shown that the small scale integration type, you can see in the second column the number of gates or circuits per chip. It was 3 to 30 circuits or gates per chip for small scale integration. Then for the medium scale integration, it has increased up to 30 to 300 circuits or gates per chip. Then large scale integration, 300 to 3000 circuits or gates per chip, that is on a single chip. And for very large scale integration, it was greater than 3000. For ultra large scale integration, if you see the number of transistors per chip in the third column, you can see the number is so big, that is in the range of 10 to the power 6 to 10 to the power 7. That is for the ULSI. And for the GSI, giant scale integration, the number of transistors per chip is even greater than 10 to the power 7. That is, you can imagine how big the number is of transistors per chip. You must note in the third column, starting with the SSI, that the number of transistors per chip was 100. For MSI, it is in the range of 100 to 1000. Then for LSI, the number is 1000 to 20,000. Then for VLSI, it is in the range of 20,000 to 10 lakh. And then I have already told you. So you must know these numbers while you are studying IC technology. To understand the basic IC fabrication process, let us consider this circuit to be fabricated in monolithic IC form. As I already told you that if the IC is monolithic, then it is fabricated on a single chip or wafer. You can see in this diagram that this particular circuit is consisted of an NPN transistor, two PN junction diodes, and a resistor. There are 5 terminal points, that is, the number of pins coming out from the IC is 5 in this case. Here in this slide, I have jotted down the basic steps for IC fabrication process. By considering the previous circuit I have shown you. Though this is for the particular circuit to be fabricated, however the steps can differ and may be repeated depending on the particular circuit to be fabricated. However, these are the major steps which one should know while studying IC technology. The first step is substrate preparation. And in this lecture, I will end up with the description of substrate preparation. You can write down these steps on your copy. I will illustrate the other steps for IC fabrication in my next video lecture. Here you can see the pictures of silicon ingots and wafers. The picture in the top left side are the pictures of silicon ingots. Ingots means the form as we get it after production. Though silicon ingot making process is a sophisticated process, takes place in highly pure atmosphere, though different techniques are used to grow silicon in labs. Practically it is obtained in cylindrical form, as you can see here, with different lengths in the range of meters. The cylindrical ingot silicon are also called silicon bowls. The silicon bowls are cut by using diamond blend or cutter, or it is also known as diamond sawing technique, and they are sliced into pieces, circular pieces of diameter around 300 millimeter, though the diameter may vary depending on the application, that is which type of IC we want to fabricate or where the IC will be used. Here are some pictures. You can see in figure A the silicon crystal or ingot. In figure B, you can see the silicon wafer after cutting the ingot, and in figure C, the P-type rectangular substrate cut out from the wafer. For the particular circuit I have considered to be fabricated in the monolithic IC form, a P-type rectangular substrate of thickness about 200 micrometer or micron is cut out from a wafer, obviously silicon wafer, using diamond cutter is required in required dimension or size. That is, in this case I have taken the substrate of thickness 200 micrometer.